Welcome to episode number 9 of the Speaking Podcast. I'm your host, Roy Collin. Today's episode is with a young gentleman, Antek Hasiura, and he's 17 years of age. And I think the episode will be of benefit to everybody, but particularly younger audience, or if you've got children and you would like them to be actually good at speaking or being able to do presentations, because he actually gives some fantastic advice. How can you contact us? Speakingpodcast.com, Instagram, Speaking Podcast, YouTube, Speaking Podcast, and you can find us, our Facebook group is Speaking Podcast as well. We'd appreciate if you like it to leave a review and also share with your friends. And this week we were number 5 in the charts of education, so I would just like to thank all my listeners, and I look forward to bringing some more episodes your direction. So please enjoy this week's episode. Hello everybody, this is Roy Collin of the Speaking Podcast. Today I'm joined with a very young speaker. He's actually 17 years of age, and I met him in one of the Toastmaster clubs, and I was just so impressed with the way he actually was so confident on stage, and then we were doing table topics and he was winning a lot. So I wanted him to come and talk for our younger audience. So please welcome Antek Hasiura. Did I pronounce your name right?
Yeah. Hello, Roy. Hello, everyone. Thank you for inviting me.
So, how did you get so good? Because, you are extremely confident on stage.
I think it's kind of a bit of my personality, but as well, I feel like my experience, kind of, if I can talk about experience while being 17-year-old. But I started, I think, when I was about 14 years old, because I became the president of the school council, kind of. And I had some of those situations where you have to go on stage and you have to deliver a speech. And at first it was I was getting anxious and it was a bit tough, and I wasn't like, oh, okay, that's not amazing. But with experience I was getting better. A lot of people were like, okay, that's pretty good. You have to improve, but it's alright. And it's kind of like, it gave me this confidence booster, and I started really liking it. And I feel like with that, and after then I joined Toastmasters and many other things that helped me improve my public speaking. And this is, I feel, kind of how I get the confidence.
Okay. And did you join a Gavel club, or was it just the one that you came to in the leadership, or have you been to other clubs as well?
No, I only went to the leadership because my cousin Basha was there, and when she heard of me and my journey with public speaking, she told me about Toastmasters, and I got pretty excited, and I went to the leadership and I really liked it. So that's why I stayed in the club, and then it turned out that I got the scholarship to study abroad. So I didn't go to other clubs to join any clubs, but I just stayed with the leadership as long as I could.
Okay. And where you've moved to, is it Montenegro or something?
Oh, it's Bosnia and Herzegovina.
Oh, okay.
So I study in an international school there.
Oh, very nice. And are you doing any speaking there?
Oh, I feel like my speaking kind of changed there because I started doing something called Model United Nations. I don't know if you've ever heard of that. It's kind of like the United Nations Assembly simulation, and you are a delegate of a certain country. You act as a delegate, for example, of the US or of Poland or whatever country you have. And you kind of get to this official way of public speaking in the United Nations jargon. So it really helped me, like my experience from public speaking from Poland and going there and trying to, become this Model United Nations person. So this is kind of like the way how I continue public speaking there.
Okay. Like you mentioned that at one of the meetings that not everybody is confident. And I mean, I see that as well. So how could you encourage other people at your age or younger to actually embrace public speaking and realize how important it is?
I feel like public speaking, once you actually try and you get out of your comfort zone and you're like, okay, I'm gonna do it, you kind of starting to enjoy that. And you see that's not only delivering a speech, it's also going to a meeting and being able to talk to other people and be confident in that, and going to the job interview and getting a job, or going to a scholarship interview and getting a scholarship. And I feel like with public speaking, you not only develop your skills as a public speaker, which is obviously amazing, but also many, many other things that are going to help you in life. So I feel like that will be the thing that will really, really encourage people. I hope it will, because if you realize that it's going to help you in many, many different fields, then I think it's definitely worth it.
Okay. And like when you're on stage, how do you actually prepare? Do you actually write it out verbatim, or what's your technique?
So people tend to laugh at me because I write my speeches kind of, though I prefer bullet points, to be honest, because I tend to speak more than less. But when I prepare my speeches and then I go to the place when I'm actually going to deliver a speech, then what happens is I basically cross out everything and start, making those small corrections. But in general, before that, when I'm at home, I try to actually imagine, while I'm reading my speech that is already written, I try to imagine myself actually delivering the speech and how it's going to sound. Because, there is a huge difference when you're writing a speech and when you're writing an essay on an opinion column, for example, right? When you're speaking, it sounds totally different. So what I do is I try to imagine how it's going to sound actually delivered by me on stage. And I try to, make those little implements that's going to be more interesting, like grab attention at first, which is, I feel like, the most important part, and make this punch at the end, at the conclusion. So I try to think of that in more like a public speaking way, and how it's going to sound when I go on stage, and how people are actually going to see that. Because your beginning might be super interesting and super smart, but if it's not attention grabbing, people are not going to listen to the rest of your speech. So I try to think of all those little small things that I learned throughout my public speaking journey, let's say.
At 17 years of age, that's it.
Well, that's not a long journey, but
no, it's fantastic. You've actually learned a lot that some people, even at a later age, don't do. So, I think you're doing it exactly right. The main thing is the introduction, get the attention of the audience.
Well, yeah, to be honest, I kind of I did a lot of research once I started actually public speaking. Then I did a ton of research about how to grab attention, how to be good on stage, how to feel confident. And I feel like that really, really helped me. And maybe I did pretty early, as you said, but yeah, that helped me a lot.
And what did you do? Did you read books or just go online, or how?
To be honest, I watched a lot of YouTube tutorials, funny enough, but they were actually pretty useful. And I feel like from videos, I tend to learn pretty good from videos. And also when I went to Toastmasters, then you can actually see all those things in practice. So that was pretty good, and I can actually see how it works. But also like implementing those things and then seeing how it works delivered by me, then I feel like that's basically how I learn. I didn't read any books. I know a lot of people do, but for me, maybe one day, we'll see. I'm open to many options.
No, but I think that's a great way, watching the YouTube videos, because not everybody likes reading, and just for learning, especially for speaking, because it's a kind of a difficult one to learn just from, whereas you can see a person actually doing it.
Exactly. That's what I feel like, if you can actually see a person delivering that. Because what I'm saying is that when you're reading something, you can't really see how this thing is going to be delivered. A speech and a written text is something that I feel is totally different, and you have to get difference between those two.
Yeah. No, I did a load of courses, online courses and everything, like Udemy and Creative and everything, and one was on humor, because I was entering a comedy competition. I was just trying to see how he was teaching and everything. I think you need to do all these different things to improve your skills. I'm impressed that at 17 years of age you have done so much, because that's fantastic. Because like you have such a better advantage. Like you're even talking about doing a job interview and everything. Like that's in the future for you. But still, like you're thinking way ahead and you're practicing for, and it's true, because a lot of times someone might be actually the best person for a job, but if they're nervous, they mightn't get the job because they don't come across confident. Yeah,
exactly. And in public speaking, you kind of learn this confidence, and you don't sit there and you get super anxious and you can't say anything. You can go out there and present yourself as an amazing person. And that's, I feel like, a very good thing you can learn with public speaking, and I feel like as a person I improved a lot because of that.
No, brilliant. And like you were talking about, how you prepare, but would you practice? How many times would you actually practice the speech then? Would you actually practice it?
I feel like it kind of depends on the speech and obviously how long the speech is. But I'm just kind of a person who practices more than less, to be honest, because I just want to have this feeling that I'm prepared, because when I feel I'm prepared, then I'm going to sound more confident. That's also the thing I kind of learned. It's hard to tell how many times I will practice, but I will definitely get some pretty good repetitions. And most important thing is that I try to speak it out loud, and then you see what things sounds kind of off, and then you can cross them out. I feel like at least 3 times, and then right before the speech I do some revision. That's what I like to do, just in case, to have this view on your speech and what you want to say. But I try not to stick too much with my text. I try to go, try to make it more like, you're actually speaking, not
natural.
Yeah. Not, saying things learned by heart.
Yeah.
So that's what I tend to do. That's why I said that sometimes I just like to have bullet points, and I just like to, go and speak. And I feel like sometimes it sounds even better because it sounds natural.
Of course, yeah. And do you ever record your speeches?
Oh, never. I don't know how you're doing that, but I hate hearing my voice on the recording. I just, when I'm thinking about how I'm going to listen to this after some time, I can't. Well, we'll see, we'll see how it goes. But yeah, I just maybe you kind of go over that fear at some point, I guess. But for me, when I hear my voice on some recordings, I'm like, oh my god, it sounds terrible. But yeah, we'll see.
No, I think every single, bar one, I recorded every single speech that I've done. And the one that I've done, I assumed it was going to be terrible because I had practiced for something else. And when I read the objectives, I needed to change it. And I said, I'm not recording this, it's going to be terrible. And then afterwards, I had like about 6 people coming up to me saying it was my best speech ever. So I regret not recording it.
Oh yeah, well I have one speech that I regret not recording, if I can think about that. There was one speech that I actually did pretty well, and I was super satisfied with that speech, because I'm usually, when I deliver my speech, even though it's sometimes it's decent, but I'm still not always satisfied, as a person. But there was one speech where I was very satisfied, and it was kind of like, because even though I did public speaking at first, I was so afraid of jokes when you speak publicly, because it's like I'm always thinking that people will not actually laugh. So and I laugh at jokes, but I can't really think of funny jokes. So there was one speech where I actually made a couple of jokes and people actually laughed. So I was very satisfied with that, and that was like one of the speeches that I regret not recording.
I was in a competition, an area competition, and there was about 60 people in the audience, and I had a lot of different jokes, and only one person got it. But I was happy because I said at least one, he was falling off the chair in laughter, but the rest there was just silence. But the trick is to just keep going. You can't let it knock you, because sometimes a person might expect a laugh, but that's not how it happens. Sometimes you get a laugh when you don't expect it. And just keep going.
Yeah, true. Well, what I do is when they don't laugh, I say, "Oh, we were supposed to laugh," and then they always laugh. That's kind of how it works. You try to turn your failed joke into a joke itself.
But that's good. I like that.
So that's kind of like the thing I learned, and I feel like it's a good trick. Once you fail with a joke, you have this option B.
But I think if you can laugh at yourself on stage as well, it just makes people connect with you better.
Yeah, sure.
So what's the future for you? What's your actual aim? You're studying now, yeah? So
we'll see. I'm hoping to go to the US to study at the university. I don't know what exactly yet. Well, when I went to high school, I was supposed to study medicine because my parents are both doctors. My dad is a surgeon. So I really wanted to study medicine, but then I got the scholarship, and I'm starting to do the international baccalaureate, so the international Matura exam. So I will most likely be studying economics, I think, either economics or business, because I just want to work in those kind of fields.
That covers everything. I think I did construction, economics, and management. And
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's a...
Yeah, I would like to do economics and management. And I feel like, with all those skills that I gained throughout, this time with Toastmasters and with my public speaking as the school president, it will also, help me a lot in many fields. As I said, I feel like public speaking kind of pushes you in many different fields where you sometimes don't realize, but you get so much more confidence. As I said, in interviews, when you're meeting new people, because, I see a lot of people who go there and they're like, okay, I don't want to talk to anyone. But if you have this confidence and you're willing to, be open to new people, because, if you're public speaking, then you have to be open to new people because you go out there and you recognize 5 faces in the audience, or you don't recognize a single one. So I feel like it really, really helps. Also in getting new people so well in a ton of fields.
Brilliant. So, how can we get other people to get on your journey? Because they're struggling. People are just so afraid, and maybe there's not a club that's near. I know there's online clubs. So you'd encourage them to take role as being a president. What else can they be doing?
I feel like because sometimes I have a lot of friends, and when they are forced to speak publicly, they either go on stage and they say, oh, I'm terrible at public speaking, and then they go and deliver their speech and they are super afraid, or they don't go at all because they are, they get so anxious. So I feel like sometimes it's maybe easier to start in a smaller community. So if your school, for example, my school has a debate club, it has the Model United Nations club, it has the public speaking club. So if your school offers that, I feel like you can try to first of all start at a smaller level. Or even, watch some YouTube videos and try to deliver a public speech to yourself. That's also fine. You kind of start learning. And when you actually get confident, and I feel like at some point it's going to start to be enjoyable for everyone, won't it? At least for me, that's how it works.
For me as well. It's only 2 years that I'm in the club, but I used to be terrified of speaking, and it's fantastic to see somebody so young actually embracing speaking. But now you get to the stage where you actually enjoy being on stage, and I think most people don't realize you can get to that. They think that you will fare it all the time. But there's times you're getting a good message out there, and it makes such a difference.
Well, to be honest, I feel like you will eventually get to that stage. As with everything you're doing, at some point, even though it's sometimes tough, at some point you will get over that and it will start being enjoyable. I also struggled with public speaking. I'm not saying I was an amazing public speaker from the beginning. I wasn't a Barack Obama going on stage while being 5 years old. I'm not saying that. But even though at first it was kind of a struggle, it's starting to be enjoyable. You actually start enjoying writing those speeches. You actually start enjoying delivering those speeches and seeing those people clap when you finish. So that I feel like is kind of the amazing part, and everyone is going to get to that.
No, brilliant. No, just listen, this has been fantastic. I think that the younger generation will get a lot out of it, and I hope that they actually follow exactly what you've said and done, because I can see you're a fantastic speaker for 17 years of age.
Well, so, I hope.
No, I mean, honestly, I've seen a lot of speakers. So for 17 years of age, and what the advice you've given the younger people, I hope they embrace it and practice going on to YouTube and go debating and everything, and that will in turn will actually help them. So how can people contact you?
Well, they can reach me on Facebook. As Roy said, my name is Antek Hasiura. So you can contact me on Facebook if you want to. You can find me on Instagram as well, and we'll probably post some funny pictures with Roy pretty soon. So you can reach me out through that. And if someone has any questions, they can basically reach either me or anyone who does public speaking, Roy, or you can find a Toastmaster club in your city, which definitely exists. I'm pretty sure it exists. Okay, if it's not Bosnia, let's say, because I have never seen a club in Bosnia besides Sarajevo. There's one. So I can't join Toastmaster, but we'll see. Maybe I'll open the club. Maybe I'll get so encouraged and open the club. We'll see how it goes.
Why not? I've opened the club, and it's actually an easy thing to do. So why not? Yeah.
So we'll see. But if anyone is interested in anything or would just have any questions, feel free to ask me.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
So I hope you enjoyed this week's episode. You can find us on speakingpodcast.com, where you can find all the different episodes. They're all different, so you might get benefit from each one. You'll find us on Instagram, Facebook, on YouTube as Speaking Podcast. And be sure, if you enjoyed it, to leave a review, because it helps us get higher up in the charts and more people can find me that way. So thank you very much and have a great day.